Keep the mind calm. Now, the goal that you wrote down, or the goals, few goals you wrote down. There is something like this. When you have a big goal, first of all, if you have goals and you set goals for manifestation, do you set big goal or small goal? You set big goal. Okay. Now when you set big goal, what do you think is naturally a problem when it comes to big goals? Okay, how is a big question mark, because the in-between is a blur. It kind of like, just somehow I want the universe to figure that part out. I just want the end outcome. So the how is kind of a blur. When the how is a blur, do you have more belief or less belief? Law of attraction can only work with belief. One of the core fundamental is belief. So that's why also, if people say, they say, okay, you say the law of attraction works, and you say the practices work, then do this. Manifest winning the lottery. Now, very difficult. Manifesting winning the lottery is actually very difficult. It's because by probability, you know the chances. And no matter how you work out in the mind, the chance doesn't seem so high. So that is where logic mind will play the thing that will be the barrier. Manifestation is all about bypassing the mind. If you can fool the mind, then actually you fool the whole reality. It's like that. It's a game. It's that simple. Have you ever had a dream before where when you woke up, the moment you woke up, you really questioned, was it a dream or did it really happen? I'm still a little bit confused. Anybody had that before? So actually, your visualization should be that powerful. Now, based on dream, you know that it's actually possible to get the mind into such a state. Do you get what I'm saying? So if your visualization was that powerful, then for sure it will manifest. So you need to bypass the mind. And that's why the activities that we're doing here is to help bypass the mind so that the belief system is strong. There's this very simple formula that goes, belief leads to action, action leads to results. Belief leads to action, action leads to results. Let me ask you this question. If you don't believe in something, would you take the action, yes or no? No. If you don't take the action, then again, no result. Doesn't matter if it's conscious or subconscious action. But you won't take the action if you don't have the belief. So actually, the daily doings will be a lot less if the belief isn't strong enough. Make sense so far? Everybody inhale. Slow exhale. Now, we can't say when we come to manifestation, we only want small dream. We will always want big goal, big dream. So now, how do we get our mind to believe? Is we use a process called chunking. We must break down now the big goal into the minor goals that make up the big goal. Then in your head, it makes total sense. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to take a moment to have a think of at least 5 to 10 things. 5 or 10 small goal manifestations that need to be manifested before the big dream will even come to existence. Does this make sense? Like, let's say I want to manifest $1 million. Great. But how? What kind of things need to happen? I need to manifest being better at money management. I need to manifest a higher paying job. I need to manifest somebody investing in me. I need to manifest. Do you get what I'm saying? Think 5 to 10 things that need to happen. You say, I want to be an international whatever celebrity. I want to be a speaker. Maybe I need to manifest a stronger, powerful voice for now. Do you get what I'm saying? I need to manifest. My mind needs to be able to think quicker. I need to manifest more wisdom. Do Do you get what I'm saying? I need to manifest meeting some promoters, some event organizers. I need to manifest some more opportunities. So what are the 5 to 10 things that you need to manifest? And if these 5 or 10 things are manifested, then actually it makes it extremely, extremely likely that you'll get that big goal. We make sense so far? Okay, take a few minutes. Now, if you have a different colored pen, use that. If not, then you use the same color. If you have a different color, then use a different color here. Now, if not, use the same is okay. Now here, I want you to be totally, totally truthful and honest to yourself. This is not for sharing with anybody, it's for yourself only. I want you to see everything from small manifestation to big manifestation. And I want you to write down very quickly, don't apply too much emotion to it, but just all the doubts and fears and disbelief, disempowering beliefs. But what if I can't? I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not powerful enough, my communication isn't good enough, I'm a shy person. I want you to just write. Don't apply, just spin it from the brain, but don't apply too much emotion there, right? Just write quickly, okay? Should just be 30 seconds on this one. Very quickly, look at everything you wrote and very quickly, be honest to yourself. Don't allow those thoughts to stay in the brain. Exhale out. And again, inhale, exhale. Empty the mind once more. So we've already wrote them out. We don't need to think of it. Okay, be present in this moment. Come back. So there's 2 ways we're going to look at this now. Somewhere deep down in that mind, whether it's conscious or subconscious, those thoughts may be there somewhere. And they might not be most empowering. So now we're going to get rid of them on 2 levels. How many levels? 2. Okay. First level is to look at it with logical mind. Okay. Second level is to attack the subconscious programming that has most likely been programmed from childhood. So we're going to start first of all with the logical reasoning. While you do this exercise, it will be restructuring inside the head already. Okay. There's a very special teacher with the name Byron Katie, some of you may have heard before, talks about this process of looking logically and changing our belief system. And that is to look at all the statements you've just written down. Okay? Look at it, whether it's 5, 10, you can see it there. Okay? Now those 5, 10, I need you to ask a few questions here. So write down these questions on maybe another page so you know what to do with each statement. You're going to need to go back to each of the... So now you have limiting or disempowering belief statements, that section. Okay? We're going to come back to it in a moment with what I'm going to share with you. Now what I'd like you to do first, okay, is to write down the instructions of what to do. So, number 1, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the statement as if it's not yours. It's just a statement about you, but not from you. So you can look at it from a third perspective and look at the statement about you. And then you need to ask the question, is this 100% true? Is this 100% fact? Okay, so each statement you would ask, is it 100% true and is it 100% a fact? If the answer is yes, then you need to leave it there. If it's no, then you write a no next to it. Okay? So, don't need to yet, because a few of you have a few statements. So the first thing is for you to go down the statements. Is this 100% true as a fact? Or is it just an opinion, or a thought, or a disbelief? right? Always 100% true as a fact. If it's no, you write a big no next to it. If you have a different color pen, then you use different color pen. So I'd like you to do that first. Go through your list. Now, if it's a no, I'd like you to write a big no next to it, and I'd like you to take one line and feel and strike it out. One line only. You can see the statement, but one line, I want you to strike it out. Okay? Just look at each statement. Just begin. How many of you managed to strike out majority? Beautiful. Perfect. Okay. Those of you who didn't, we have some work to do. So now next, what I'd like you to do, behind every statement that you've written, those disempowering beliefs, you'll still be able to see with the strike through it or with no strike through it. I'd like you to write whatever is the opposite empowering belief to that. I want you to write it nice and bold, feel it, write it next to it. Okay? Force yourself to write the empowering belief. It's the total opposite belief. If somebody was the opposite to you with the empowering belief, what would the empowering belief be? And I would like you to write it exactly the opposite as the statement you've written on there. It says, I'm not confident enough, I am confident. Right? Or I can become confident. I can train myself to become confident. Then it's more believable for you too. I don't have the knowledge yet, I can acquire the knowledge. I don't have the money to be able to do it, but I can find the money to do it. So relax the body, relax the mind. In a very logical sense, we've just gone through it. Once, one time only. That is surface level. Surface level programming. Nothing is as strong as root. Root is programmed. Up to age of 7 years old is all programmed. So now is to attack the root. And I need all of you to do this. Out of the list you made, I'm sure all of you will have one of them which is stronger. The one that's, no, but I think this is true. The one that is something that's stopping you there. That belief is very strong. So look at your list. Pick one for now. We're going to work with one for now. I'm going to show you how we do this. And when I show you how we do this, then in future, anything that comes up, you can do it in your own time. Because a lot of people, they go for therapy, timeline therapy, coaching, to try and get rid of certain traumas, thoughts, doubts, worries, fears. But actually, if you know how the brain works, you can do all of this yourself. Would you like to know how? Yes. Okay. So, this is in NLP what we call cognitive reframing. And when we talk about cognitive reframing, not only you can help yourself, you can also help others with it. So even with what you learn here, you can even help others change the way the mind works. I'm going to give you an example here. Is there anybody in this room you really like to eat? You really like to eat. Like you like to eat so much that a lot of the time you overeat because you like to eat so much. A lot of you. Okay, nice. Now, is there any of you who you really like to eat and a lot of the time you overeat? And at the same time also, you don't know why, but you seem to have this thing where you don't like leaving food behind. When there's food left behind, you just feel like you need to eat it. You have to clear the table, otherwise it feels not good. Anybody feel like that? Now, is there anybody who feels that way, yet at the same time, you would like to be able to eat less? Okay, a lot of you. Okay, now, here's something for you guys. I'm just using it as an example. Then you'll understand how the whole programming works and how you can do it with anything. Everybody inhale. Slow exhale. Like a lot of people find it hard losing weight. A lot of people do. It's normal. That's why, again, most people are overweight. It's normal. And like I said before, you will find it shocking when you start to realize that your reality today, everything in your reality, was predestined when you were programmed as a child already. And you're just acting still with the same belief systems and still with the actions because of that. Why is it, for some of you, you don't like to leave food on the table? Do you know why? You were taught not to? Anything else? Hey? Anything on the table you should finish.
It's like an Indian belief that if you are taking the amount of food and whatever is in your plate, you must finish it, because it's like if you're going to disgrace it in your further life, you are not going to get it in abundance. That's why it's like you finish it. We have to finish it.
Okay, let me ask this question. I just want to ask one question. Okay, is there anybody here who sometimes you do leave food on the table and you don't finish it? Okay, so they're not following your Indian belief here.
They're leaving it with the guilt. It's a childhood program. Those are programmed like that in the childhood.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so you know the rule, yet you're not following the rule. You're thinking, in next life, it doesn't matter.
It's not even next life. We are told that there are a lot of starving children out there.
Yeah.
Like that. And your eyesight.
Yeah. There's a lot of starving children out there. Do you know? Because I was brought up in an Asian family too. Whenever I didn't finish my food, Mom would say, think of all the kids in Africa starving. So I used to finish all my food. I used to be fat. Very fat. Even Mom, back then, in my teenage years, would say, why you put on so much weight? And I say, because if I don't eat all the food, the kids are starving in Africa. Do you know how stupid this is? Because it took me. Do you know it took me a whole 20 years before I realized, even if I finish the food, the kids are still starving in Africa. You don't feed them by putting it into your belly. For some of you, you only come to this realization at 40 years, 50 years. You're not feeding them. You're feeding you. It's going in your mouth, your belly. I'm not saying to waste food. Waste food is not good. Order less. Then you should order less. Then you shouldn't over-order. But the problem isn't there. The problem is all the programming. You're speaking it already. This is good. Because now you are speaking your BS. True or true? That's what you're speaking. You're hearing it now. We're doing it just for one thing. Just for eating. That's all we're hearing. What about money? What about relationship? What about love? What about everything else? Imagine wherever all this BS comes out. You'll look at it. A big pile of BS. So, let me tell you how this works. Very simple. When you have something, let's say, for example, I don't know why I've got this eating thing. I just need to finish all food all the time. And whenever I see food, I need to eat it. I don't know why, but I want to lose weight. most likely, this was pre-programmed before the age of 7. So, what you do, I'm going to tell you the process so you can write it down. Then you can do it with anything. Number 1, you think of the earliest childhood memory that you can remember that's related to whatever the thing you are trying to reframe. So, in this situation, for this example, will be my earliest memory of why I need to finish food. Let me tell you, can I tell you how you were programmed? Is that okay? Okay. We explained before, the brain has 2 parts. One is in charge of the emotions. Then, when emotions is activated, then it locks into the memory. If emotions are not activated, actually, it won't be strong in there. Does this make sense? This is what we call pain-pleasure relations. You can write that down. It's called pain-pleasure relations. So, if I give you an example of what I would recall, Mum would say, my earliest childhood memory of anything related to this. Mum would say, finish the food, finish the food. No, I don't want to finish the food. No, finish the food. You got to finish the food. When you finish the food, good boy. When when an emotion is added to a belief, then it is logged in deeply. Good boy, Kidwood, I'm doing the right thing. When you're not finishing food, no, finish it. This is pain relation to an action. Finish, pleasure relation to an action. Don't finish, pain relation to the action of not finishing. Now that, over every single day while you're growing up, will be extremely ingrained in there. To a state that right now, you will not even know why you feel bad when you don't finish food. But it has to be in programming. Because let me tell you something, there's somebody right next to you not finishing food and feeling perfectly fine. Do you get what I'm saying? They're feeling happy. And because you have your belief, now you try to imply your belief on them. No, finish it. You're trying to destroy them too, huh? So what do you do? So like I said, number 1, we recognize when the earliest memory is. We recognize the pain, pleasure, reward system, how it was implied. So number 2, we recognize the pain, pleasure, reward system and how they applied it to program us. Now I'm not saying they did it intentionally, but it happened. They programmed us. Number 3, then we go back to that moment through visualization. We go back to that moment through visualization with eyes closed. Huh? When we go back, we change the pain-pleasure relation. You will feel right now, really, will that work? It really works. Because that's how memory works. You remember things that are emotional. If you make an emotional attachment, it will log into your computer system here that's been programmed. So, imagine this. I'm going to give you an example now. I go back in time. Now, when I go back in time, I see mom saying, no, 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 finish the food. You finish the food, she rewards the behavior. Now I change the system. I see I don't finish the food, so I leave it, don't finish the food. Now I need to see mom replace the behavior with thumbs up. I need to feel it. If you don't feel it, it won't lock in because it's an emotional relation. You need to even find it, this is funny. It needs to be funny, it needs to be emotional. The more emotional, the more it will override the preconditioning before. Does this make sense? Is this making sense to you guys? So I'm there, and then I visualize I'm eating as a kid, and I don't finish the food. And mom is saying to me, I see my mom. She looks at me, she said, good boy. She's rewarding that behavior. Okay? So that's, on that level we can do. One final one that we can add to it, the system, to really, really condition this mind, is to create our new pain-pleasure relation to the scenarios. Yeah. You don't believe me, all of you who have that eating problem, you try it, within 2 weeks, you don't know why you will feel good leaving food. It's weird. I tell you what you can do is like this. Think of the result if you didn't need to finish the food every single time. I mean the result. Okay? So that would be the pleasure, I'm guessing. If you didn't. So how you do is like this. Next time you eat, you will eat. You know when you're full. You feel full already. It's just you have half a bowl left, so you think, maybe I should finish. You're full. When you recognize you're full, the first few times will be a lot more difficult for you. So what you should do, you recognize you're full. Number one, recognize you're full. Number two, hold the bowl or the plate, push it away. And while you push it away, close your eyes and visualize your most beautiful outcome. Me with a six-pack. Oh, I'm looking so good and so healthy. Wow, so attractive. Push it away. Yeah. Then you do again. Next time. The first 1, 2, 3, because you are doing it consciously. Somewhere deep down in subconscious, it's still telling you, finish the food. But your conscious is saying, I'm just going to try this, just 3 times. And if it doesn't work, then I'll go back to Master's YouTube channel and I'll complain. Second time, same thing. Okay, let's give this another go. It's difficult, but I'm just going to do it for the sake of doing it. Okay, I recognize I'm full. Third time you do it, 3 times only, you will realize something very, very, very interesting happen going forward. You just won't want to finish the food. Is this making sense for you? Everything is pain-pleasure relations. Everything is pain-pleasure relations. Okay? So, what I'd like you to do is to write it out. For the biggest fear, the biggest belief. You know, a lot of people actually find it hard to attract the right relationship into their life without arguments and things like that. Is actually same thing, was conditioned from that age, up to 7 years old. It's weird, because those of you who struggle with relationships, if you think back to that time, what was your earliest memory of relationship? Who did you see and how did parents treat parents? And you'll find it's exactly the reason why you have the belief you have right now. Does this make sense? Okay. So take your biggest doubt, your biggest fear, and just write out the whole reframing, how it will look instead. So think, close your eyes, take your own moments in silence. Take your own moments and go revisit. Okay? I'm going to give you guys a few minutes on this. So take your time. It's very important you do this. If you don't do this here, it's highly unlikely you're going to do it outside. So I'll give you the silence here. You go, you revisit, and you figure out what needs to be changed. Give you a few minutes and begin. How many of you managed to find something that happened when younger that conditioned something, some belief system that you have now? Beautiful, very strong. So, I'd like you just to take a couple of minutes and write inside your notebook, process. What did you just see? What did you realize? How was it programmed? And how are you to change the programming? Just process, write it down, so you have a reminder for yourself. How are you going to be changing this? Just take a couple of minutes. To reaffirm this, what you've just learned, okay, I'd like you to take a couple of minutes with the person next to you in twos. Just share what you picked up from this and where this belief came from. When we say it again, we process it. It reaffirms so we can shift it. All good? Okay, 2 minutes with the person next to you and just share what you got. Take a deep inhale. Slow exhale.